Hello and welcome back to Saxon Math. This is lesson 51, rounding decimal numbers. It's a new concept. It is often necessary or helpful to round decimal numbers. For instance, money amounts are usually rounded to two places after the decimal point because we do not have a coin smaller than 1/100th of a dollar. So let's just get right into the examples. Dan wanted to buy a book for $6.89. The sales tax was 8%. Dan calculated the sales tax. He knew that 8% equaled the fraction 8/100ths and the decimal 8/100ths. To figure the amount of tax, he multiplied the price of $6.89 by the sales tax rate of 8/100ths. So $6.89 times 8/100ths would look like this. And let me just show you the work on that because so many of us forget what that might actually look like. So if you're multiplying these two numbers, 9 times 8 is 72. The 7 goes on top. 8 times 8 is 64, plus 7 is 71. 8 times 6 is 48, plus 7 makes 55. And then you have to count the decimal places. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need to move it over 4 places in the answer to this position. And this is money, by the way. This was money, so is this. This would be labeled money. But because we round it to the nearest penny, you have to look at this number here. That's what we want it to be rounded to. We have to look at the number following it, and it's a 1. So it's less than 5. It's 1, 2, 3, or 4 means this remains the same. If this was a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, this would round up to 6. And then these would just go away. So this translates to 55 cents in this case, because it's not rounded. When we round it, we see that it's got a 1 after it. So how much tax would Dan pay if he purchased the book? Sales tax is rounded to the nearest cent, which is 2 places to the right of the decimal point, and we mark the places that will be included in the answer. And then we'd have to consider the possible answers. It could be 55 cents or 56, but it is closer to 55 cents because of what I explained there. That is a 1. If the digit was a 5 or more, we would round up to 56. If it's less than 5, we round down to 55. Since the next digit is 1, we round down. And Dan buys the book. He will need to pay 55 cents in sales tax. This is just the tax. So if you were to find the total, which we're not doing today, but we'd have to take the $6.89 and add the 55 cents to it to find the total. This would be 14, this would be 14 again, and this would be 7. So it'd be $7.44 for the total. That's tax, and this is the full price here. This is the price, and then this is price plus tax, which equals the total amount. All right, let's look at another example here. It's often necessary or helpful to round decimal numbers. Again, so that's just the same idea there. So if Sheila pulled into the gas station, let me do this, make it easier for you to follow. Sheila pulled into the gas station and filled the car's tank with 10 and 381 thousandths gallons of gasoline. Round the amount of gasoline she purchased to the nearest tenth of a gallon. First of all, you need to know that this is the tenths place. And then you look at the number following it, and it's an 8. It's more than 5. So in that case, I just take that part, and that 3 would change to a 4. Everything else just gets wiped away. That 8 and the 1 is gone now. So the tenths place is 1 place to the right of the decimal point. We mark the places that will be included in the answer. So we wanted those places right there, the 10 and the 3/10. Those are the parts that we need to keep. But then we have to consider the number following the 3/10 position or the tenths position. It could be 10.3 or 10 and 3/10, or it could be 10 and 4/10. And our determining factor is this number right here. It's closer to 10 and 4/10 because the digit is an 8. And when you see that it's 5 or more, you have to round up. 8 is more than 5. All right. So let's look at another example here. Example 3. Estimate the product of 6 and 85 hundredths and 4 and 2/10 by rounding the numbers to the nearest whole number before multiplying. So if I'm going to estimate, I want to do that first. Product means times. I see that this is 6 and 85 hundredths, and it says rounding the numbers to the nearest whole number. So that means this has to be a 7 and this has to be a 4. Why do I know that? Because this 8 here determines that this would be closer to 7 than it would be to 6. And this 2 here lets me know that it would be closer to 4 than it would be to 5. So I've got those. And the product of 7 times 4, that's what that means. So 7 times 4 equals 28. So the estimated product of 6 and 85 hundredths times 4 and 2/10 is 28. We mark the whole number places. The 6 and the 4 are the whole number places. And then we can see that 6 and 85 hundredths is more than 6 but less than 7. The next digit behind it is an 8. So we round up to 7 because of that being an 8. If you look at the following digit after the 4, it's a 2. You can see that it's going to round down to 4. And then you can multiply those rounded numbers. 7 times 4 equals 28. So the estimated product, remember, when you're estimating, you're trying to make your life easier. 7 times 4 is a lot easier than 6 and 85 hundredths. So if you were to explain in your own words how to round a decimal number to the nearest whole number, you'd probably want to say that you're going to look at the number following whatever place value you're trying to round to, and determine that by understanding that if it's 5 or more, you're going to round up. If it's less than 5, if it's a 4, 3, 2, or 1, you're going to round down. If you're rounding a whole number with 2 decimal places to the nearest whole number, what place do you look at to round? So if you've got a whole number with 2 decimal places to the nearest whole number, you would look at the 10th place in this case. A whole number with 2 decimal places. So if it was like 7 and 23, you have to look at the 10th place if you're trying to round this. So you have to look at the 10th place, you don't even need to worry about that 100th place. All right, let's practice this. Round to the nearest cent. 6 and 6,666 10,000ths. And we need to round it to the nearest cent. So the nearest penny is this place. So we're going to keep all of those places, round it to the nearest penny. Okay, you should have answered for this one. It would have been $6.67. What about B? 4,625 10,000ths. To the nearest penny, you should have said that this is 46 cents, because this 2 right here, you can see the 6 and the 2 is less than 5. How about this would be 8,333 hundred thousandths. Rounded to the nearest penny, this would be 8 cents because of the 3. The 3 is less than 5. Round to the nearest tenth, letter D. 12 hundredths. Should be 1/10 because 2 is less than 5. So that 1 stays the same and you drop the 2. Round to the nearest tenth again. This is 12 and 345 thousandths. That'd be 12 and 3/10 because 4 is less than 5, and those just disappear after you're done with recognizing that information. And then letter F, 2 and 375 thousandths. Letter F, you should have 2 and 4/10 because this is a 3. 7 is greater than 5, so you have to bump this number up and then get rid of those 2 digits there. Round to the nearest whole number or whole dollar. So we're looking at the whole numbers of each of these, the whole numbers of each of those. So letter G, 16 and 75 hundredths. This should have been 17 because this is a 7 following it, and this would be bumped up to a 7, and then you drop everything behind it. Letter H, 4 and 875 thousandths. You should recognize that this is an 8, which is greater than a 5. That means that this 4 needs to be bumped up to a 5, and everything else is dropped behind it. And then $73.29. This would be rounded to the nearest whole dollar, so it'd be $73 because this 2 is less than 5, the 3 stays the same. Letter J, if sales tax rate is 6%, then how much sales tax is there on a $3.79 purchase? Round your answer to the nearest cent. So if the sales tax rate is 6%, how much sales tax is there on $3.79? So here's what you need to start with. You've got $3.79, and you're going to multiply that times 6% as a decimal. That looks like this. And 9 times 6 would be 54. 5 goes up here. 7 times 6 is 42, plus 5 makes 47. 3 times 6 is 18, plus 4 makes 22. And then I count the decimal places, so that would be where the decimal would be on this answer. And I need to recognize I need to round it to the nearest penny, and this 7 right here makes this turn into a 2. So the taxes on this would be 23 cents because this is a 7 following it. It says round to the nearest cent. So your tax for letter J would be 23 cents. That's all you need to answer. You don't need to give us the total or anything. If you needed to give us the total, you'd take 23 cents plus the price. Letter K. Describe how to estimate 7 and 75 hundredths percent sales tax on a $7.89 item. So if you're going to estimate this, you might look at it, let's say we want to do whole numbers. So I would look at that and I'd recognize that there's a 7 after that. So this would be 8%. And then if I was going to estimate still, I'm going to change this probably to $8. So because this has got an 8 here, because of that 8, I'm going to round that up to that. So it'd be 8% times $8. And if I was to look at that, I can recognize that $8 times 8%, which is this as a decimal, that'd be 64, and that'd be 64 cents. So the estimate on this would actually end up being 64 cents as far as an estimate on the sales tax is concerned. So that's if I'm rounding to the nearest whole, which I probably would want to do. All right, nice job. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in class tomorrow. Make sure you do your practice problems each night, and if you don't get something, rewind and review. Have a good night.